Ladies and gentlemen, this is the 12th and final round.
Right hand, Golovkin steps in and down he goes again. Unbelievable. Mayweather makes him pay. What a rookie mistake. A sensational left hook by De La Hoya.
It's fact. I'm the best. You know what I mean? Sometimes I don't want to believe it myself, but it's the truth. I'm the best. I'm going to show you how great I am.
From Southern California, this is the Last Round Podcast.
Welcome back to episode 203 of The Last Round. Thank you for joining us. Let's just jump right back into it. Fight reviews this past Saturday, the 10th of December, from the First Direct Arena in Leeds on DAZN in an upset for the IBF Featherweight World title. Luis Alberto Lopez gets the majority decision win over Josh Warrington by scores of 115-113 and 114-114. Okay. What was your reaction to this? Because I didn't see it live, but when I saw it, when I got the alert, I was like, oh, man. But is this one of those, what fights have we talked about in the past? Because I know there's been some where Eddie Hearn or Matchroom or, whoever it is, Queensberry, a UK-based promoter brings over essentially a Mexican fighter or, Latin American fighter, and they end up getting the upset. If it doesn't pop into your mind right now, it's fine. I'll think about it while you're giving your reaction.
Lara against Warrington.
That's one of them, right? That's one of them. Mauricio Lara.
Valenzuela against Robbie Davis. Kiko Martinez is Spanish, but Kiko Martinez against King Galahad.
Exactly. Okay. So yeah, there's a good couple examples. So should we just, kind of start giving more credit to these guys when they go over there? Because it's becoming the norm now. And obviously Josh Warrington was the expected favorite. And look at what happened. He's 0 for 2 in situations like this. I mean, what did you think? What was your reaction to this?
I thought going into the fight, I had Josh Warrington as the favorite. But I think you could see early on, probably took maybe even just a round, definitely 2 rounds. You could see that Lopez's very unorthodox style completely befuddled Josh Warrington. And, I think you could give him probably the first 4, maybe 5 rounds to Lopez. Josh Warrington ended up kind of reverting to some, dirty tactics. And, he was warned several times about headbutts. But it didn't really phase Lopez. I think he'd built himself into such a lead that, he could kind of smell the victory coming. And I honestly think it was well-deserved. I was quite pleased that they didn't, because I know on the DAZN broadcast, I think they gave Warrington the last 4 rounds, definitely the last 3 rounds. And I think that they might have had it either a draw or a close decision either way. I thought it was pretty adamant that I thought Lopez had won it. He did kind of throw away the last few rounds, but it was just a scrappy, victory to him. And I think it probably would have been a little bit cleaner, but Warrington kind of tried to drag it down into the dumps, and tried to, win by, headbutting him, kind of roughhousing him and stuff like that, because, it really wasn't his night. But I like Lopez. I liked his style. I like his very unorthodox, shots that he would throw from crazy angles and stuff like that. And I think he's trouble for anybody just having that, because you're so used to, people throwing the 1, the 2, the 3, and you can kind of guess what's coming next. With Lopez, you can't guess what's coming and you can't guess what angle it's coming from.
You think there's a rematch clause here or no?
I think it was mandatory, so I don't know if there was one in there. I think Lopez had worked himself into the mandatory for this fight, and that's why we had it. Because I'm sure Eddie wanted to stick him in there with, probably, one of the bigger names like a Santa Cruz, a Lee Wood, something like that. Maybe even a rematch against Lara, because he slipped up again, against essentially a lesser opponent for probably a lesser purse. So I'm pretty sure that this was actually a mandatory. So unless they'd kind of done a side contract and put a rematch clause in there, I think Lopez just runs off with the title. And to be in all honesty, I wouldn't. If I was Eddie, I don't think a rematch clause would be a good thing to go down, because it's another loss. I think Lopez's style is just too unorthodox for Josh, especially at this time in his career. Hopefully, just get him in there with some big names in Leeds and kind of cream the last few big purses for him, because I know he just lost, but you can see he was pretty downbeat because of the fact that those 2 fights with Lara and now this one. Yeah, it wasn't a good night for Mr. Hearn.
Do you think Warrington is like we talked about in the past, is destined to stay or sustain as a British level fighter, domestic level?
Warrington?
Yeah.
You mean going forward now?
Well, would you ever consider him up until this point to be above a domestic level or a British level fighter? Even though he's had a world title and all that stuff.
Yeah, because I think at the time of when he got his 2 biggest victories, Lee Selby and Carl Frampton, he wasn't the favorite in either of those. And I still think that we probably thought that they were both, still world level. Carl Frampton ended up losing to Warrington and ended up coming back, getting a few victories and, fighting Jamel Herring for the world title again. So I would say so. I can see where you're coming from, because like if a Frampton and Selby had both lost those fights, then kind of retired, you're kind of like, okay, they beat those kind of world level fighters at the end of their career. But yeah, I mean, I think I've said this before. I've always gone against Josh Warrington, and he always proved me wrong. And I think even though he doesn't have the most fanciful style, the most eye-pleasing style, it's effective. And I think that's why at times we all of us kind of back against him. But he's time after time after time, 31 times to be precise, proved us all wrong.
Yeah, because I was thinking about that when I found out that Lopez had decisioned him. I'm like, I wonder if, because see, I wouldn't consider Lee Selby I don't think I would consider him more than a British or domestic level fighter. Frampton, I would. I think that was a solid win. But it's also because Frampton came over here and he had his fights with Santa Cruz. And I think, did they fight twice or 3 times?
Santa Cruz was twice, one each.
Yeah. So, and I think he took the first one, and then Santa Cruz took the second one, which I don't know why they never fought again. But yeah, I don't know. I just don't see Warrington as I don't know. I guess I'm half and half. I could see your point, but I don't think I agree as strongly as you do. But I could give him the credit for that.
I mean, I loved Lee Selby back in the day.
No, right. Lee Selby, I mean, he never felt like he really was able to penetrate the scene,
Maybe not so much over here. I know obviously he was big in California just due to the fact
that he would train over here.
Yeah, he trained over here and sparred over here, so a lot of people knew who he was, but I'm sure he was just a bigger commodity in Britain. I don't think, off the top of my head, I'm sure there's going to be people shouting at the screens going, he has fought, big fights in America, but not off the top of my head, I can't think of any. But I was a big fan, like Ricky Burns and stuff like that. Some of the fights that he's had, Fernando Montiel. Yeah, I just liked his style.
No, yeah. I always admired him for being a fighter who would come to California to spar. I mean, we've heard that from a lot of international fighters who say, "Oh yeah, well, California, like the United States has the best sparring. I can, especially Southern California, where it's such a big area, so many gyms, so many fighters. You get a lot better work." So, I know it's like a lot. They come and they have to stay here for a while and away from their families most of the time and all that stuff. But, you kind of have to admire them from a fighter's perspective. Like, well, yeah, they're over here trying to get better. If you stay in one spot and you train in that location, all the time. I mean, if it's California, it seems like you'll get good work. But if you stay in the UK, I mean, look at Anthony Joshua. I don't know if we'll touch on it later, but now he's doing another rotation, another, trainer search, after being with Robert Garcia. I honestly think he should just stay with Robert Garcia. But now he's thinking like, oh, okay, well, was it Robert Garcia's fault that he lost? He fought better in the rematch against Usyk, but you know. Then he's like, oh, okay, well, I'm gonna find another trainer, see who can capture lightning in a bottle, you know, like. But what about a Lopez Mauricio Lara fight?
I mean, I'd love it. I still love to see the Navarrete Lara, right? That we've been shouting for so long.
Is Navarrete? Doesn't he have a fight coming up? I think he does. I think I saw that he supposed to face Valdez.
Yeah, Valdez got injured.
He got injured, and now he's facing. I forgot who it was, but I saw the name earlier today. But he was supposed to fight Valdez, but Valdez fortunately got injured. I mean, who knows what happened there? But you know, it is what it is. Let's see what Warrington does, because you know, having these losses against Lara, against Lopez, you know, I'm sure he didn't give any indication that he was gonna like retire or anything, right? Because you know, when fighters take crazy losses like this, sometimes it kind of really affects them. But we will see. Also on the card, the blonde bomber Ebony Bridges gets the 8th round TKO over Shannon O'Connell. This was for the IBF bantamweight world title. Well, no, that wasn't it. What would you think about this fight? What did you think about Bridges' win? I saw the face off and they were kind of mouthing off at each other. I was like, oh, okay, you know, seems like they really don't like each other. But I mean, what do you think?
Early on, I thought Shannon O'Connell was gonna win it. She seemed a little bit sharper, but Ebony it's a little bit unorthodox, and at times it's, you know, a little bit amateurish the way that she just kind of like bundles forward and throws punches. But it's good to watch. You know, it's all action. It's going forward, and obviously you can tell just by, you know, the way that she's built. You know, she's a, you know, seriously strong lady. So eventually she just wore her down. I think it was just constant pressure. And the fact that she's heavy-handed, you know, we actually got to see, you know, Shannon O'Connor was dropped, and then for once, we actually got a stoppage, you know. So I was pleased.
Yeah,
you know,
very
it was,
true.
and I thought I thought the stoppage was good as well. You could just see that Shannon O'Connor's face was just getting, you know, beaten, and I think, you know, she wanted to go out on a shield because of the, you know, the spite in the build up to the fight, you know, with
Trash talk and all that.
Yeah, with all the trash talk, I thought, you know what, like I'm definitely not going to tap out. You're gonna have to make me go out on the shield, and the referee kind of jumped in and saved her. And I think, you know, later down the line, Shannon Courtney was on this card. She's kind of rebuilding, but I'm sure we're going to rebuild and probably eventually see the Ebony Bridges and, you know, Shannon Courtney rematch later down the line, because, you know, they're both fairly big on social media, a lot of trash talk, and, you know, it'd be a big fight somewhere in the UK.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. And also this past Saturday, the debut of BLK Prime. This was their debut on pay-per-view, I guess, if you want to call it that. But in terms of a debut, it was a complete debut. From Omaha, Nebraska, Terrence Bud Crawford gets a 6-round TKO over David Avanesyan. Crawford retains his WBO welterweight world title. I mean, are we really surprised here? I didn't see anybody choose Avanesyan. I think we both chose Crawford. I mean, what do you think? Expected?
Yeah, it was expected. I thought everyone was probably more surprised with the fact that the Everlast gloves fell apart during the fight, and then they just let them carry on, and, you know, he ended up knocking him out. I thought it was a good performance from Crawford. You can still see how good he is. I just kind of hope that eventually he changes his mind and we'll get to see the Spence fight, because, I mean, we don't know.
I mean, whose fault it really is it? Like
we don't know, but it doesn't.
Everybody's all speculating. We don't know. We don't know.
We don't know. But I just don't like the fact, the way that he talks, like, you know, like, oh, I don't really care. Like, you know, I've achieved what I want to achieve, and
right.
You know, this is how much I just think I should get paid, and it's massively overinflated. And, you know, I think just selfishly as fans, I think we want to see that. We want to know, like, who is the best at 147, because some people think Spence because he's taller, but some people think Crawford because he's probably maybe the more complete fighter. You know, and we all want to see it, but it looks like it's getting to the point where it's probably going to be too late. It's not going to be when they're both, kind of in their primes. But
and he didn't really say anything in his post-fight interview either. He kept it pretty general. Nothing about Spence. I don't know.
Still good.
I still think the fight that him and Spence will fight, but is Spence. But it also has to come down to the Spence has to retain his titles as well. He's most likely going to fight Thurman. And then if Virgil Ortiz and Stanionis, who have been ordered to fight, or actually Golden Boy won the purse bid to that. They beat out TGB PBC. If that happens and Ortiz fights, I could see Crawford Ortiz on the zone. I can see that. Like 95%, 100% sure. If Stanionis fights, I don't see PBC letting Crawford get close to him, because then if he takes, even though it's like a regular title, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or it's ridiculous. I thought they were, what happened to taking away the regular title? They're still there. It was all just PR purposes. But I think they will fight. I think they're just, the money's not there. They need to build their brand. And, but they're not really, both of them aren't really the types of personalities to sell themselves and make themselves bigger and make the fight bigger. Like, they're not. And, and who knows what they're demanding in terms of purses, in terms of money, and nobody knows. One side comes out and says something, and Crawford says something in interviews, and so says something in interviews. Like, we don't know. We don't know what was happening behind the scenes, and one of them says one thing, the other one says one thing, and everybody starts taking sides and attacking one or the other, and then you see Espinoza from Showtime also tweeting and saying stuff about Crawford, and it's like, okay, well, that doesn't help any future negotiations. Like that the network president of where the fight might possibly be on Showtime is talking crap. Like you don't think that's going to turn off Crawford a lot more? Like I don't know. That's a tough situation. I think they will fight, but are we going to get a loss on one of their records before we get it? Like, look at Pacquiao Mayweather. Pacquiao got knocked out by Marquez. And then people thought, oh my God, Mayweather fight's never going to happen now, and blah, blah, blah. And Pacquiao kept fighting, got wins, to kind of build himself up again. And then they fought like 4 or 5 years later, pretty much. So are we going to see that with Spence Crawford? Well, I don't know. I mean, who's Crawford going to be able to fight next? Like, is he going to have to wait for the winner of Ortiz Stanionis?
And then, if the pay-per-view numbers get leaked out by this, is whoever's going to look at paying the money for Crawford Spence going to see the figures from this and think, well, this is never going to cover the budget that these two want?
No, it's not.
10,000 was what got leaked. I know that some of the people from BLK Prime said that they won't have the figures for another week, but that's what was.
That's not true. That's not true. Who leaked out the 10K?
I can't remember. It was I was following some Twitter thread.
Just some random.
Yeah, I don't think it wasn't like Rick Glazer or someone like that. It was somebody saying that they'd heard like 10,000, and then I think it was like Cyborg's team who run her PR said that BLK Prime wouldn't have it for another 7 days due to gathering it from all different platforms or something like that.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, who knows? But let's see what happens. Spence Thurman is probably gonna be announced maybe within the next month or so maybe sometime in January, and let's see what happens there. Let's see if Spence says anything about Crawford and his fight, or I don't know. Either way, the fact that Thurman is still here and he's still around, when 6 years ago he was like the top of the guy in the welterweight division, and then he it's just a crazy weight class, 147 pounds. It really is. And also this past Saturday, a lot of fights on Saturday from Madison Square Garden, the theater in Madison Square Garden, I believe, in New York City on ESPN. Teofimo-Lopez gets a hard-nosed and hard-fought split decision. Could be controversial to a lot of people. Over Sandor Martin. And this was for the WBO International Super Lightweight title. We talked about this the day before, or day after, or maybe sometime today, that Lopez, there was that clip that was on the ESPN broadcast where he's against the ropes and then he asked somebody on the side of the camera, do I still got it? Pretty much questioning himself, like, man, like he knew he was at the top, especially after the Lomachenko win, and now, he's like, man, like, how can I not beat a guy like this convincingly? Questioning himself, doubting himself. I remember, I think when he lost to Kambosos, the top ranked team had said, and they said this on the broadcast, that he wasn't training the same as he did for Lomachenko. He hired a nutritionist. He had a full team because he knew Lomachenko was going to be difficult. He's like, I'm going to train my hardest. I'm going to have the best team. And when he got the win and won the fights and got the titles, he was like, oh yeah, he was on top of the world, and he thought he was untouchable. And then he thought, okay, my purses are going to go up, but I need a cut. I want to save more of that money, which, understandable, but he wasn't training the same. And, have we seen, what do you think? Have we seen the best of Teofimo-Lopez? He's still a young kid. He can still recover, but have we seen the best of him? I mentioned to you, like, these younger fighters, Ryan Garcia, Jojo Diaz, Teofimo-Lopez, they're all close in ages. I think Jojo is the oldest, but, they had their issues with the mother of their children. Then they get criticized online and they respond to it, and then other stuff happens, and then, a lot of drama, and then they get sucked into it, and then, it starts affecting them, unfortunately. And, and then Teofimo starts posting today or the last day or two, like, don't talk to me at events, don't, keep that same energy, pretty much saying, don't buy into what I said or something. He's trying to save face, even though it's, we saw it. But what did you think? Do you think Sandor Martin should have got the win? Did he deserve the win? Was it a draw? Did Lopez win? Do you agree with that? And what's your take on Lopez now?
This is a hard one for me to score, because I find it harder to score a fight when you know the result, and this is one of the ones I had to watch back because I watched a lot of the other ones live. So it's harder to score that because you kind of already know who won, or who should have won due to the drama on social media. I thought it was a hard fight for Lopez once you started it and you kind of saw that the game plan that Martin had decided to execute, just kind of countering, Teo quite a lot, and moving around and not letting Teofimo kind of get settled. And it did look like Teofimo kind of got a little bit disillusioned, and he was kind of struggling his way through the fight. I thought towards the end he kind of turned it up a little bit and seemed to solve the puzzle, but yeah, I think I don't know what he needs to do. Go away and try to sort out a lot of the drama that's in in the background, but that's going to be super, super hard for him, because the drama that seems to be attracted to him are obviously his wife or his ex-wife, whatever she is now, and then obviously his father, which seems to attract a lot of the drama, and he tends to try to steal a little bit of the limelight, and obviously how good is he as a coach? One of the people that was in his corner for that his biggest ever victory against Lomachenko was Joey Gamache. He was kind of brought in as an assistant, and have we seen him in there since? He looked like he was part of the extra waste, shall we say, part of the extra money that they were trying to save. It looks like, they cut Joey Gamache off there, and I'm sure a lot of people, everywhere you go on social media, everyone's calling for him to, obviously get rid of his dad and, bring somebody else in. And, I think that would be something that would be good for him, just have a fresh set of eyes. And I think even maybe to go away for a while and just kind of, try to sort things out, take a break, train, maybe visit a few trainers like AJ did, see which one is gonna fit. Because like you said, now it's got to the point where he seems kind of like, like a child, that's it. I'm taking my ball home. Like you guys aren't playing anymore. Like fuck you guys. And he's posting all this stuff on social media, and then people like he's bad the comments, so people can't comment on them because that must have been getting to him. And take a break from social media.
Yeah.
If it's not going well in your life, like we've all had bad patches, we're all human. I'm sure we've had parts, splitting up with girls or having a bad time at work, whatever it is. And the last thing we probably want is people chipping in, and we're not celebrities. So imagine like you getting constant messages of abuse, technically like on that. And we don't have to live with that sort of stuff. So I'm sure it's, different for him, but turn it off. Don't log into social media for a bit. I know obviously some people earn a living that way, but for your mental health and for your own clarity and to get everything right in your life, take a break. Go somewhere else, look for a new trainer, whatever it is that he needs to do. Prime example, here's an example that we can actually use. Jojo Diaz.
Yeah, exactly. He went through a rough patch. He
pretty
did.
Much the same thing as well. Baby mama drama, and people were saying he shouldn't use his dad. He should go back to Joe Diaz. Very similar. And now look at him, monster.
Yeah. I mean, he's had some big name fights in the last couple of years, and even though he's had some losses to them, like Devin Haney and stuff like that, like he still fought well and he's still going. And so far so good. I mean, yes, you got to pick yourself up and keep going. And even Ryan Garcia, same thing. Went through a rough patch, started complaining about his money, that he wasn't getting paid enough until he cried about it so much that he got a bigger contract. There it is, but that it works out for him. He's happy, it's just, I don't know. Teofimo it's unfortunate because like you saw the glimpse of the talent that he had, especially primarily in the Lomachenko fight. You saw it, but I think that win and the adulation that he got from it got to his head. It got to his dad's head, and they thought, "Oh yeah, we're the best now." No, I'm better than you. I'm going in, and it just, and I get it. Like the next day, I think Teofimo-Lopez posted a picture of him in the gym after the fight. His face was, still all bruised up and stuff, but he was in the gym. And I mean, I get it. He wanted to show the world back in the gym, back to work. Like, I get it, but hey, relax a little bit. Maybe that relaxes him going back to the gym. Maybe it does. Who knows? We don't know that. But the fact that he thought about like, oh yeah, I'm going to show people I'm back in the gym. Like, why does it matter? Go in there and work out, like you said, get off social media. Like I'm sure he was reading all those comments. Yeah, it's unfortunate. Like he's obviously a talented guy, but and I give credit is due to Sandor Martin too, is because I didn't pick him. I thought he was like a one-hit wonder with Mikey Garcia, and no, he could fight. He's going to be trouble for anybody at 140 pounds right there. So, let's see what happens. Martin's hopefully gets bigger fights too. He's made a name for himself.
The Barboza would have been a better stylistic matchup, I think, for Teofimo.
I still think that's going to happen. I still think Top Rank makes that fight next. I mean, I don't know if Barboza is going to have a fight within the next 2 months or so, and then they make it sometime summer, maybe next year, but I still see that fight happening. And I see that fight happening next for Teofimo-Lopez. I mean, who else would it be,
Pedraza, maybe?
Yeah, but I'm not a fan of that. Well, it was supposed to be Pedraza for this one.
Yeah.
It was, you're right. But honestly, if you think about it, we got a better fight. I think Pedraza still probably would have been decent, but I just think that Pedraza had too many miles on his tank.
That's why I think they'll pick him.
Yeah. No, yeah, you're right. Get him in the win column, get his confidence up. I can see it. Top Rank knows what they're doing in matchmaking. They're pretty good.
Because he's come up from obviously a lighter weight. He's just kind of gone to 140 at the end of his career.
Yeah.
I think he's a smaller man, more miles, been in a lot of big fights, been the B side a few times.
That sucks though. That I would, as a fan, like I would highly prefer for him to fight Barboza. But maybe Top Rank is going to see that. Like, oh, well, he struggled with Martin, and Barboza, even though it'd probably be a more competitive fight. Barboza might be like, maybe we shouldn't put him in there with somebody like Barboza yet. Let's put him in there with somebody like Pedraza, who he has a higher expectancy to win against somebody like Pedraza. Get his win up, get his victory up, confidence up, and then go to Barboza. Which you're right. I think they might do it. I could see them doing that, but I don't know. Maybe he wasn't ready for 140 pounds yet. Because Sandor Martinez is a full-fledged 140 pounder. Pedraza, fights between 130 and 140. Comes up but who knows? Who knows? But yeah, it's unfortunate. But they're gonna try to get him up. I mean, obviously they want him to fight like Jose Ramirez, like you said, Barboza. I don't think Josh Taylor. I think Josh Taylor's gonna move up, and I think Josh Taylor's just too big for him.
Well, it's interesting you say that because it looks like Josh Taylor, Jack Catterall got moved to March, and then that Teofimo-Lopez fight was for a WBO International, which is obviously the title which is Josh Taylor currently holds. So if they're choosing to go down the WBO route, then you'd think that he would face the winner of Josh Taylor, Jack Catterall, because
no, I think Taylor moves up. I think Taylor moves up regardless.
Because I know that, remember, his contract has that, wasn't it, like 4-fight deal? One of them has to be a pay-per-view.
I wonder if that's real. Do you think that's real?
That's what the rumor was, wasn't it?
That was a rumor, but...
So do you think, I don't know, pay-per-view of Teofimo, winner of Josh Taylor, Jack Catterall, or...
See, but I don't think that performs well at all, though. Not here, at least. They would have to fight in the UK. Oh, yeah, because I don't think that performs well at all over here. They would have to fight in the UK on pay-per-view over there.
MSG? Close enough to the UK?
Maybe. It's better than California. I mean, obviously we would want it in California or Vegas, but more bang for your buck, it would have to be at least New York. At least. Yeah. But even then, was it 8... what is it? 5-hour difference between the UK and New York?
Yeah, time difference, yeah.
So I don't know. Fight starts at 9 or 8:30, 8:45, almost 9 Eastern time in New York, and it's what
2 in the morning.
2 in the morning over there. I mean, did you guys stay up when you were over there? Would you stay up for a lot of fights late at night if it was worth it or no?
Yeah, but I was significantly younger, Daniel.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying, like, I wonder. I've always wondered how common it is. Like, obviously, if it's big fights,
yeah,
But was it mostly? Was it from your experience? Did you have to be like a hardcore fan, or was there a lot of casuals who would stay up?
No, I think like my brother and my friends, they stay up for the big ones. They'll stay up for like the big boxing fights, and then obviously like the McGregor fights in the UFC.
Yeah,
that's a similar thing. They run at a similar time, so yeah, they'll stay up for like
I'm sure a lot of people stayed up for Mayweather McGregor, right?
Yeah, exactly. All those sorts of fights are the ones you stay up for, the big ones.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Teofimo, if you ask me, and this just kind of popped in my head, I think he should go with somebody like Abel Sanchez. You need that discipline. Sanchez has that discipline, and he'll make him come to Big Bear. Like, nope, you're gonna come train up here. And Abel Sanchez doesn't take shit. He'll run you through the mill. I mean, he's even said, I think in interviews, like guys like Andy Ruiz didn't want to train with him, and so yeah, he's like, guess he didn't want to work that hard. So I mean, obviously there's other trainers out there, but I'm just thinking about like isolation in terms of like really dedicating it. Abel Sanchez, go train in Big Bear. I mean, he won't. He's from the East Coast, but he needs it. He needs it. He's still very young enough where obviously he has time is on his side, but if he can make that change, somebody to change like that now and keep it going forward in a consistent fashion, just imagine what he could be in, 3-4 years.
I've got an East Coast trainer for you.
Who?
Teddy Atlas.
Oh, yeah. I wonder how old is he now? 74?
That's what you're going for? 74?
Yeah. I just feel like he's older than we think.
66.
Oh shit, I was way off.
Aged him a little bit.
I did. I mean, I could see that, but it's not that Teddy Atlas wouldn't work, but I feel like Teddy Atlas is too animated and
Just like his dad.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I was getting at. I think that's too much. For somebody like Teofimo, I don't think that's the training factor would be fine, but the behavior and the attention would be too much. It'd be too much. It'd be just like the dad. It's just it wouldn't work. That's why I'm just like that's why I said Abel Sanchez, because you kind of have to think about something that's complete opposite. Complete opposite. Go up to the mountains, away from everybody. You're trained in with somebody like Abel Sanchez who will work you. He'll work you. Like I get it. I feel like a lot of people I know don't want to train in Big Bear. They don't want to go up there and stuff like that. But I feel like Abel Sanchez he'll train you, man. It's just unfortunate that he's up there, but that's why a lot of people don't want to go up there. But we'll see. I mean, he got the hard fought split decision win. Some people thought Martin. I was kind of looking at. I watched it over. I thought it was a draw, but obviously Teofimo was the A side ESPN fighter, top ranked fighter, so I could see it. Also on the card, Jared Anderson gets the second round TKO over Jerry Forrest. This was for the WBO International Heavyweight title. What do you think about Jared Anderson's win?
I think everybody's hiding him, aren't they? Every single podcast, every single news outlet you hear about, they love Jared Anderson, and he's making light work of people that he should be doing it to, and that's just good. And I think he's just slowly but surely just working himself into a great record, traveling around, inspiring the people that he should be, getting all that good work in, seeing different things, and the rest of the division is getting older. And I think he's just sitting there, just biding his time, and he's just going to choose to bite whenever he sees that it's his chance, and it's going to be at the perfect time. I don't think he's going to be rushed, and I think he's getting moved along, superbly well.
What if he fights? It's just out of left field. Big baby Miller.
That'd be a good one. Yeah, be a good one. I mean, I think Jared Anderson would win. Don't really rate Big Baby Miller. He's more just a gigantic person more than he is really like, an athlete. He's just so big and so strong and kind of just thuds you to death.
Yeah.
Because he's like 330 pounds or whatever he is. Ridiculous size. But yeah, I think sooner or later, give it next summer, I'm sure we'll see the return of Big Baby on a bigger card because
he's coming back.
Yeah,
he's coming back.
Just play the heel, like we've said. Play the heel.
Also on the card, Keyshawn Davis remains undefeated at 7-0 with the 8-round unanimous decision win over Juan Carlos Burgos. This was for the WBO Intercontinental Lightweight title. All WBO, huh? WBO top rank. I mean, we've seen it before. This was a ESPN opener of the night. What'd you think about Davis's win?
I mean, everyone's hiding him, aren't they? Keyshawn Davis, out of all of the prospects that I'm sure Top Rank have, I think if you were going to buy stock in anybody to, pretty much 100% pick up some type of world title, I think it's going to be, Keyshawn Davis. I don't think he's, much of a secret anymore. The fact that he's now 7-0 and he's fighting somebody that has 45 professional fights kind of says how good that he is. I don't know. It's next year too early to give him a title shot. I think it just depends on who's holding him. I guess next year, maybe 2025, just do another cycle, another year of some fights, and then you can pick up. Lightweight's amazing division to be in right now. So I don't think there's any rush. So
no, yeah, he's got a ton of time. But like you said, yeah, you're right. That's a good point to point out that he's fighting somebody with over 40, 45 fights, and he's 7-0. That's impressive. It's very impressive. So let's see how he goes. But yeah, I don't think he gets the title shot in the next year or so. I think it's too early. Like unless they really like fast pace him like Lomachenko. But yeah, I say 2023. Maybe they start thinking about it. Like, oh, okay, maybe we can kind of get him. So he fights what? He'll fight next year 4 times?
I mean, they have him out quite regular, and then I think it's just, wait and see. Lightweight's kind of littered by people I'm sure that he's, he knows pretty well.
Yeah.
He seems to be friends with like Shakur and, Crawford and all those guys. And so, it's an interesting division. All of those 130, 135, 140. They're going to be, if you look at it right now, those 3 divisions are going to be amazing over the next few years if they all start to fight each other.
Well, yeah, they have to fight each other,
right?
How many times have we said that about division? That's the thing about fight sports over here. It just sometimes they just disappoint us so bad. Rounding off the card, Xander Zayas also remains undefeated at 15-0 with an 8-round unanimous decision win over Alexis Salazar Flores. This was for the WBO NABO Super Welterweight title. Another good prospect for Top Rank. Zayas. I feel like, speculating here, but I feel like he's going to be the one to pan out, like long term.
Yeah, it's funny because I was looking at the comments on Twitter, and there was a few media guys who weren't that high on him. And if I remember rightly, I think Kevin Aioli, when he was on one time, also wasn't as high as, me and you on Xander Zayas.
Mm-hmm. Maybe they see we don't.
Yeah, I'm guessing. Yeah, they obviously see something that we don't. I think Keyshawn is probably your money's favorite, but because everyone knows about him, you wouldn't get good odds at the bookies. But Xander Zayas, I mean, he was in a lot of people's prospect of the up and coming prospect like last year and the year before. So far, I think he's doing everything he needs to do. 15 wins with 10 KOs. Another guy, fighting him, somebody who has 30, double the amount of experience that Xander did.
Exactly, yeah.
And I think they're moving him at a good pace. I think he's probably going to get to like around 20-0 before he's really stepping up to any type of huge challenge. And then I think then we'll see more, who's right. I mean, you right? Or is, Kevin Aioli and
right
whoever I read on Twitter. I can't remember who it was now.
No, you're right. I mean, we kind of have to see them battle tested. And we really haven't seen it yet, but so far he's winning. But yeah, I mean, we could be wrong. Somebody like Kevin.
Never happened before, Dan. Never.
Of course not.
Never happened to me before.
Yeah, I just said that just to be humble, but we're never wrong.
Right.
Never gonna happen. Moving on to a Tuesday fight from Japan in the middle of the night over here on the West Coast in the United States. From the Ariake Arena. I hope I said that right. In Japan, the monster returns, and I think it's safe to say pound for pound number 1 fighter, especially after this fight. Naoya Inoue gets the 11th round knockout over Paul Butler and becomes the undisputed bantamweight world champion. Japan's first ever not just bantamweight, undisputed champion of the world in boxing. All right. Is there any dispute at the moment that he's not pound for pound number 1 in the world?
Him or Canelo?
You still think it's Canelo?
Just because of how hard it is for someone like Canelo to move through the weights because he's a heavier person.
No, you're right. I mean, I could see that, but you got to give credit to.
It's hard,
and he's knocking all these people out, like knocking them out.
24 wins and 21 knockouts, right?
And he's also moving up in weights too. Like he's moving up. So if you want to look at it that way, like how Canelo's doing, I mean, if you kind of, that's what's called pound for pound, But the big difference here is that Inoue is literally moving up in weight and still knocking these guys out.
No, I'm just looking at his record now. Yeah, it is hard. I mean, I do. Yeah, if you look at it like Donaire, knockout, Moley, knockout, Donaire the first time, 12 rounds, Emmanuel Rodriguez, knockout, Payano, knockout, Yeah.
He's literally the monster. The guy is a killer. He is a killer.
What 1A and 1B then? You know, I'll give.
I am maybe I can see that. I'm sure people are gonna like be pissed at us or pissed at you for saying Canelo. Like, no, he lost, and but.
Well, it's really. I mean, a lot of it is recency bias because people have just watched that fight this morning, and a lot of people like to pick these obscure people because they kind of want to be like the hippie followers, sort of thing.
No, yeah, that does happen.
Yeah, no, he is good. He's without a doubt, he's good. Look at the amount of knockouts he's got, in the amount of fights that he's had, and how many world championships and title fights he's also got knockouts in. And I fully respect him. But I mean, I think just Canelo as well, like due to the fact of some of the people he's been in with, the resume that he's got, the amount of fights, the big, huge fights that he's been in. They're both amazing. It's hard to split them. Like you could ask me tomorrow, and I'd probably wake up with a completely different opinion. But yeah, I mean they're like 1A, 1B in no particular order because they're both that goddamn good, right?
Oh, right, yeah. I think I would personally tip it to Inoue, the monster, because the guy's he's a killer, man. He's literally knocking these people out and like hurting them. They're not just like he's hurting these people, hurting these opponents. It's crazy. It is crazy, but. Yeah, so he's become undisputed at bantamweight. I'm assuming he's going to move up super bantamweight, 4 pounds.
I would imagine so. That's like when you think about it, it's like he's going to probably end up being in the same sort of dilemma as Canelo, right? Where's he going to go?
Yeah.
Look at that division though: Stephen Fulton, NJ, Louis Neary.
I mean, those are all hard fights. Like especially MJ, I think that's a tough fight
because he moves so much. It's going to be hard.
It's also because he's moving up in weight. Like you said, the Canelo problem. It's like, okay, well, I beat everybody here.
Yep.
I guess I'll go up. Like, and look at he runs into somebody like Bivol. Eventually the weight and the skill becomes a little bit better as you go up. So, but. That's how you challenge yourself. He became undisputed at bantamweight. So what else is there left to do? Unless his body, like if he's like, no, that's too high for me. Okay, well at least you can admit it. You're already a badass fighter. But if he goes to 122, man, the doors that are open, well, the potential for opponents at 122 with fights with him, that's crazy. That's crazy. And we still want to see him fight more in the United States. I mean, Top Rank has him, but he's fought over here, I think, once in their whole deal or something like that.
The second time it got called off because I was supposed to go to it.
Yeah.
In Vegas, I think it was against Emmanuel Rodriguez.
So we're waiting for him to come back. We definitely are. Fight previews this upcoming Saturday, the 17th of December, from the Cosmopolitan in Las Vegas on Showtime. A headline fight. Michael Rivera, 24-0, goes up against Frank Martin, 16-0. 2 undefeated fighters here. What do you think about this fight?
Good fight. Big fan of Rivera. I think he's, already shown us, what he can do so far coming up undefeated. I think it's going to be a good fight. I think Rivera's, been headlined a few different cards for the PBC. I think they kind of realize like how good he is. I think the problem you have is, he's not American. He's not a big talker. He's not a trash talker, being the fact he's from Cuba. But he does it in the ring. He does all of his talking, literally all of his talking just in the ring. And this is going to be a good fight. I think he probably goes in as the favorite, but Frank the Ghost Martin, it's pardon me, is I think he'll make it an intriguing fight because I think he's kind of like lesser known, but from what we've seen so far, I think he's got the goods. But this is definitely, his biggest fight, and it's just, can he bring it, live on Showtime on the night?
Yeah, no, I agree. It's definitely his biggest fight. So this is an interesting matchup. I like it. So they're not obviously big names, but to us hardcore fans, we can see this could be a pretty exciting matchup. Also, this upcoming weekend from the Bournemouth,
yeah.
Say that? Yeah, Bournemouth International Center on Sky. Dana Z, 17-0, goes up against Rocky Fielding, 30-2 for the British and Commonwealth light heavyweight world title. What do you think about this fight?
I thought it kind of, I mean, Dan Aziz is a good fighter, obviously unbeaten. Rocky Fielding, I find it strange that Rocky Fielding has decided to kind of drop back down. Obviously, he got in there, had that fight against Canelo where, Canelo made pretty easy work of him over 3 rounds, came back, had essentially 3 kind of gimme fights. And then he's kind of dropped back down to British and Commonwealth level. I'm surprised he didn't, try to just keep his name in the mix, and get some bigger fights because he can always put on his ledger. Like I faced, Canelo for, Undisputed, I think it was at the time, or maybe it was just before, Canelo was Undisputed. So yeah, kind of a strange one. I think it's a huge name if Dan Aziz can pull it off. Dan Aziz is a good fighter. And it's really one of those ones where is Rocky now? Does he still have that hunger after, facing Canelo, having those big paydays, coming back against 3 lesser known opponents, to then go in there with a hungry opponent who really, really wants that Rocky Fielding name on his ledger and obviously wants to keep hold of, the British and Commonwealth titles as well. So I think it's one of those ones where after the first round, you can kind of tell more of where Rocky is.
I know, yeah. It's kind of crazy to see how Rocky Fielding, the Canelo fight kind of lifted his profile, but, he hasn't really had a significant win since then. But, sometimes that happens. You fight these guys, high profile guys, and, that's the most high profile fight, the most attention you're going to get in your career. And that happens. But, I'm sure that's his best payday. And I'm sure that helped him solidify himself in terms of financial situation over there. So it would definitely worked out for him. I don't think he's complaining too much. I would hope. Also this weekend from the Moto Space Dubai Investment Park. What a name, in Dubai, on Fight TV. Mahmoud Char, 33-4, goes up against Lucas Brown, 31-3. Why do I feel like these guys in Dubai are probably getting paid very, very well over there? What do you think?
No, definitely. You can have Mahmoud Char and Brown, I think, both held the WBA heavyweight titles. So I'm sure that, for the posters and to sell it, 2 ex-heavyweight world champions face off against each other to sell it. Obviously, Mahmoud Char, his biggest claim to fame, giving Christopher Lovejoy his first ever loss.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true, right?
The Lovejoy, huh? I forgot about him. Where's he at? Let's bring him back out. He was on the show once.
He'll just go down. Yeah, he's been once or twice. I think he's been
once
on,
or twice. I think he's been on, right?
I don't really know what to say about this fight. 2 washed up heavyweights facing each other for like another kind of payday. I thought Lucas Brown was going to retire.
I guess not.
Yeah, but he's still obviously, strike whilst the iron's hot, right? I guess. And
I wonder if this is just like a rich person from Dubai who's just like putting this on or something, or if this is promoted by somebody specific.
I'm trying to say what it. I looked at the names and it was just some random, like, I don't know.
Yeah, it could be somebody who just has money. I mean, that area of the world, Dubai, especially the big city, like has a lot of money. There's some very, very wealthy people over there. So maybe they're just like, oh, I have the money. I'm going to put this on for the entertainment of my friends and family and all that stuff. You never know. You never know. News and notes of this week's episode of The Last Round. Leo Santa Cruz, finally, I don't know how. The WBA, the world of boxing now, like they obviously love Leo Santa Cruz because he's held that title for years and just held it hostage. Finally vacates his WBA featherweight title, and Lee Wood is now elevated to the full champion at the WBA classification. Leo Santa Cruz went almost 46 months without a single title defense. He hasn't fought. He has not fought since he got knocked out by Gervonta Davis. He has not fought. How many years is that? 12, 24, 36, 48. Almost 4. It's been 4 years? That was 4 years ago?
4 years since he defended that title.
Oh, okay. But he fought Davis after that.
Yeah, he fought Davis at one. Was that for the 130 and 135
Yeah,
title?
I don't know how that happened, but 4 years, almost 4 years, and not defending that title. 4 years.
No mandatories and
nothing. if you looking back at the historic context of boxing over the years, that's something that you have to study as like a researcher and all that stuff. Like, how did somebody like that, like, I know there's boxing politics. Who did Al Heyman and PBC, how did they have this agreement with the WBA? Was the WBA getting paid behind the scenes in terms of like, hey, we want this to be defended. We want our cut from these fighters. Oh no. Here, I'll give you an extra cut off of this fight. Just leave him alone. Leave him alone. I mean, what else could be said, right? I mean, we know that we know stuff like that has happened. It's happened before. I don't know. That's crazy, man. Whatever. We've been told that Leo Santa Cruz is one of the only people, and especially fighters under the PBC stable, who have a direct phone number for Al Heyman. We've been told that. So for some reason, their relationship is a lot more elevated than others. So yeah, Al Heyman definitely looks out for him. I think they said. I think I also read that Leo Santa Cruz named one of his children after him, Alan. So yeah, that's huge, man. That is huge. But Leo Santa Cruz has made some great money over his career. He doesn't, you never see him, in any controversy. You never see him posting online. The only time he ever posts is if it's for a fight, he's promoting something. Other than that, he kind of just stays in the shadows.
Super nice guy.
He's a very nice guy. He's a very nice guy. But yeah, that's a crazy, crazy situation. And also Shakur Stevenson looks towards fight with George Kambosos Jr. after being turned down by Isaac Cruz and William Zepeda. I honestly thought the Zepeda fight possibly could happen, but maybe Golden Boy and DAZN were like, oh no, let's slow it down. I mean, I think it's kind of smart. Don't put him in there with somebody like Stevenson, not now at least. But I honestly can see that. I can see Stevenson and George Kambosos. Can you see that?
Top rank. I retweeted something that they posted before, and then Kambosos actually replied to our retweet saying that pretty much like, I've just been in 2 wars in 2022. I'm just having some time with the family. Let's do it at the end of 2023. And it just it took off.
Yeah, maybe. But I can see that. I mean, obviously Stevenson would be the big favorite there, but Kambosos, undisputed or unified champ or whatever, it could work. It could work. It's something, but we know how talented Stevenson is. We want to see him against Davis, Lomachenko, all those guys. So we will see. And then I don't think it's been officially announced as of this week's episode right now, but Ryan Garcia and Mercito Gesta, both under the Golden Boy banner, are reportedly going to face off sometime at the end of January in 2023 at a fight that would be at 140 pounds. And then obviously if Ryan wins, maybe even if he loses, who knows? The Davis fight hopefully happens a couple months later, May or June or something like that. I don't know why I know people like, we know who Gesta is, Mercito Gesta, because he's a Southern California fighter. I think he's still with Freddie Roach, I think, right? Or is he not?
Gesta, I believe he's still with Freddie Roach, yeah.
Yeah. He's a Golden Boy fighter. We've seen him fight a lot here in the Southern California area. He fought Jorge Linares, came up in the Louisiana, but he put in a good effort, all that. But he's technically a smaller guy moving up in weight. I hope it's competitive, but I think Ryan is the favorite here. But I don't, I wasn't surprised. I think we talked about it. I think you might have mentioned it in a past episode, saying that I think you guessed like, oh yeah, it's probably going to be somebody like Gesta. If he's going to fight somebody in the interim before he gets a big fight against somebody like Davis or somebody else. I mean, we kind of thought about the Golden Boy stable. Anybody realistic? Gesta. And I think you called it. That's exactly, at least right now, reportedly is what's going to happen, right?
Yeah, it seemed like an internal fight, which would be easy to make. And, Ryan Garcia being the A side, and Mercito Gesta is somebody that I think Ryan would look good against. Ryan's going to be considerably taller, have a huge reach advantage, going to hydrate to something ridiculous against Hester. And it's going to make him look really, really good before hopefully they announce Ryan Garcia, Gervonta Davis. But I'm sure I speak for both of us.
Still not signed. It's still not signed. I don't know why I don't know why they announced something. It's nothing signed.
I'll believe it the day that I'm sat either ringside or watching it on a pay-per-view, and I'm watching them both in the ring, and the referee's gone ding ding, round one. That's when I will believe it.
It'll be pay-per-view, so let's see what happens there. But
and then Ryan's pulled out of a few fights and stuff like that, so it's kind of like, even if it's announced,
and Davis still has to go to court. I don't know if isn't he going this month or next month or
it's upcoming, so I'll believe it when, like I said, when I'm there or I'm watching it on pay-per-view.
Yeah, definitely. And then also Adrian Broner and Ivan Redkach are, and I think this was announced on Friday, the fight week of Terrence Crawford-Avanesyan. They're the next installment in the BLK Prime series that they will be fighting, I think, in February. So we'll see how that goes. I don't know if it's a multiple fight deal for Broner with BLK Prime or
3 fight, 10 million.
So yeah, where's this money coming from? Where is this money coming from? I mean, we'll see. It's going to be interesting to see. Is it going to be another Triller? Their presentation actually wasn't that bad.
No, it was good.
It was actually pretty decent.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay, it's better than I thought. It's way better than I thought. So
a lot of people didn't like Malignaggi, though.
Well, of course not. But, he was on there. What do you expect? Take it up with the BLK Prime people. They're the ones who hired him. What are you supposed to do? But once again, guys, we appreciate you guys listening to this week's episode of The Last Round. Check us out. We have shirts, clothing, all that stuff. Fit Warrior brand. Check out our link tree on our social media handles and all that stuff. I will be at the fights on Saturday here in Southern California, the Golden Boy fights at the Commerce Casino in Commerce, California. I will be there covering for the show. So if you see me, say hi. Come up, say hi, give you a shout out on next week's episode of The Last Round. But we're going to try to get more content for you guys on the spot interviews and stuff, and then add them to next week's show or any upcoming bonus shows. But once again, before we completely sign off for this week, Mike, go ahead and let them know where they can find us and follow us.
We are at The Last Round 12 on Instagram and Twitter, and be sure to join us next week. We'll be either talking about the year review, do a little quiz. We'll find some sort of content to go through, as there's going to be no fights to preview because it's going to be Christmas week.
It is. So we're going to have to figure something out. But once again, guys, we appreciate you guys listening. So for my co-host, Michael Shepard, I'm Danny Z. This is The Last Round.
Thanks for supporting and listening to the show. Follow us at The Last Round 12 on social media. Rate, review, and subscribe.